Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dominic from Blue and Grey. I have my colleague Lakshmi, who is behind the screen and trying to continuously upload informations and also video. Today, the topic is completely different than what we usually do most of the Saturday. We keep talking about electrical safety, electrical standards and codes. We are talking about fire standards and codes, National Building Code, and many other subjects. Today, for the first time, we are bringing in the subject on what can you do more from the CCTV camera, which is based on video analytics and artificial intelligence and machine learning. How important are video management systems? I'm sure everybody must be heard about CCTV, and the moment when you talk about CCTV, what comes to your mind? Looking at certain events, looking at if the property is safe, if the occupants are safe. But today, the technology has taken different level. So generally, when you're thinking about security, we only straight answer dedicate visible aspect of it. However, surveillance systems are much more than a camera on a screen. This is something which I would like to emphasize. Surveillance is much more than what you see on the screen. One of the most important aspects of this system is what happens behind the screen. This is what we are going to talk. We are going to make every camera that is there in a premises and intelligent cameras, which can capture certain events. It could be in attendance, it could be stock or warehouse, product movement, it could be people movement, it could be vehicle movement, it could be capturing certain information on the table or on the movement. So very interesting subject that we are trying to cover today. I would like to introduce the speaker for the day. I'll just go on the full screen on this. Lakshmi, the screen is visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Today we have two distinguished speakers who returned from US, who spent good time in US, and our Prime Minister appeal, Atmanirbhar, has really inspired the speakers who returned back to India, keeping the business still alive in US. So they want to do something for Atmanirbhar Bharat. I'm so proud about these speakers who has left the fortune back in US and come to generate employment and also offer technology out of box. Mr. Srini has over 22 years of diverse experience in various industries, ranging from financial market, real estate, automobiles, and information technology. His global work experience and extensive travel gave him keen understanding of world markets. His passion has been to identify, create innovative products and solutions and make them available to the market that needs them. Co-founder of DURANC, the leading provider of video surveillance and analytics as a service. He has been instrumental in shaping the product design and features and providing market insights. He is a strong believer in the concept of innovative ideas coupled with strategic implementation, commercialization, lead to create job and wealth. The mantra can lead corporate India to become world economic leader. That is the vision of Mr. D.P. Srinivas. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Thank you, everyone, that joined this Tech Talk. Look forward to having a good interactive session.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Definitely the audience will be keen to understand What are you bringing from your rich experience that you have, and what you see India as a market? Let's hear later. And we have a second speaker, Vamsi Krishnan, is the COO of DURANC Tech Services. He has 25 years of cross-functional management experience in project management, operations, technology, infrastructure, people, and customer management. He has extensive experience in dealing with cross-culture teams and customers from across the globe, including US, Europe, South Africa, and Middle East. As a head of operation of DURANC for over 8 years, he has overseen development, implementation, support of the cutting-edge DURANC Vision Smart Surveillance Solutions. With a strong focus on quality, he has spearheaded the implementation ISO for product development and technical support process within the organization. As a technical evangelist, he advocates and helps customers benefit from and understand the limitation of the technology innovation in the surveillance industry. That is Vamsi Krishna for you, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, the subject is quite interesting. The innovation is evolving day by day. What you use today is obsolete in 6 months. How do we cope up with the technology that is rolling out? Do we still need foreign software to run our system? As our Prime Minister, Atmanirbhar Bharat, is it a dream or is it a reality? I'm sure people who are attending will understand these NRIs who returned from US and started a company can make this dream, Atmanirbhar Bharat, a reality. I'm looking forward, like you all, to understand what these gentlemen is going to offer us. I now request Mr. D.P. Srinivas to take over from here on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Thanks for the introduction and for the good words. Thank you very much. We look forward to give you the complete insight of what we have done in the last 8 years in terms of our transition from regular CCTV, which is very reactive mode storage, and you do go back and then look at after the events happen, to very proactive way of AI that takes over the human element, and from the regular human eye, what we call in DURANC, from eye to the AI. So eliminating the eyeball monitoring to event-based system. That was the premise and the idea, and there were like hundreds and hundreds of what we call orphan cameras, which doesn't have any basis of storage, whether they get stored or whether they get monitored or whether they get really attended to. That kind of orphan situation is there for the cameras that are there in the field. We created a solution, a platform, a complete platform from end to end, where monitoring the health of the cameras all the way to the effective way of giving business insights and situational awareness to the required people, not to everyone, and eliminating maximum amount of false alarms, so that the entire process doesn't become completely ineffective, so to say, when it is false based alarms. That is the entire thing that we have done in DURANC. DURANC, by the way, the name is DURANC, bit internationalized name, but it is basically the Indian name, the Hindi word of DURANC. So the remote eye for the surveillance cameras. So having said that, I'll hand over to Vamsi to take over and then give a brief flow of the entire solution, why we are more effective in terms of the technology adaptation to make the existing infrastructure viable for the business insights, not just for the surveillance, but the business process. Vamsi, please take over.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you everyone for taking the time and joining this session. We hope we make it worthy of your time. So what we will do without much further ado is I'm sharing my screen, which gives you an indication or what I would like to cover today in terms of how do we transform. Our topic is how do we transform surveillance from being a cost center to a strategic asset. That's what we have been focusing on at DURANC for the last 8 years with our tagline of do more with surveillance. I think everybody that's in here is familiar with this screen, either directly or indirectly, that we handle on a day-to-day. So you have a lot of NVRs or DVRs connected with all the cameras on your premises. And each of these NVRs or DVRs is connected to a monitor. Somebody is sitting in front of them and watching all the time to see if there is something amiss, if there is something abnormal, something fishy that he can identify and try to take some action. And you will have a host of servers like this, host of storage, whether it is hard disks or storage servers or NAS servers, etc. All of this is our familiar scenario or the current present scenario. So you will have 1 or 2 people watching that and trying to help you ensure the safety and security of your premises, of the people, of the property. Now, if it's a larger enterprise or a larger deployment, you will have a lot of people watching the cameras and watching whether it is, let's say, for example, a city surveillance scenario where a lot of people are watching at the same time. And the dependency is that it becomes human dependent. It depends on the eye of the human and the person who is watching and ensuring his attention span. That's what we rely on when we have this kind of a setup, which is most familiar for us. Now, the reality that we need to accept is this. So the human attention spans are limited, and we have studies that prove that beyond 20 minutes of watching screens, the attention span goes dramatically low, and it's pretty difficult for the guy or the guys to focus on and keep observing what is going on multiple locations and multiple zones. It's pretty difficult to rely on it, and it also becomes heavily person dependent, the ability or the commitment and capability of the individual. So what you get out of this kind of a setup depends heavily on the human capability and commitment also. And you also need to ensure that to bring in uniformity across, you will have to ensure the monitoring guys, the command center guys are trained properly. They know what to do, what action to take in different scenarios, and to address any untoward incidents that happen, what needs to be done. So it depends heavily human dependent. And this is what makes today's deployments typically considered as a cost center, by which we mean it's a necessary evil. We need this setup. So we need cameras, we need the recordings to be there. In case something happens, we need to investigate, we need the evidence management. So it's a necessary evil we cannot live without. We cannot avoid it, but then we are always concerned about the cost of it. So what is the cost? Is it worth it or not? So if we turn the table, the only way we can move it is to turn the table instead of looking at it as a cost that we have to incur because there is no other choice. But we now, with the emergence of technologies, we have the choice, and it does not become just a cost center. We will talk in the next couple of slides in terms of how we can move it from a cost to being an asset, because you already have, imagine 100 people watching over your property instead of just 1 or 2 people. Think that every camera or the feed that's coming is being monitored instead of the AI. Monitoring that and ensuring. So that is where we will get at. So what is causing this scenario of looking at as a cost center is these are some of the points that are today making the surveillance as a cost. It's silos getting implemented across, whether it is within a building, within a set of nearby buildings, you have deployments where it's individual or isolated to that particular specific location, not connected to other locations that you have. So it does not bring in uniformity, does not bring in centralized management, administration, and access control. You have closed systems that do not talk with each other. Because they are completely independent, either because of the network or because of the way the systems are implemented. You don't have any interoperability. That's another reason why it becomes unmanageable to an extent. There are deployments that do only video management, which is basically in terms of ensuring you have a monitoring. You can still monitor live across locations, but you can record and store the recordings. That's pretty much what the deployments have moved forward from just the NVR or the DVR to video management system. There is increased awareness in terms of video analytics now across verticals, basically, that we see. But then the analytics are heavily dependent on cameras. People are using camera-based analytics. We will get into the limitations and advantages or disadvantages of using camera-based analytics going forward a little bit. But that's where we are and currently, and that's making the surveillance as of today as a cost center. But where we want to get at, what we really want is a setup wherein from all the cameras that are connected, whether it is across your property, on the vehicles that are moving across, be able to gather all that video feed that's coming. Because as they say, the cameras are witness to everything that happens around 24/7. We just need to tap into that and understand what's going on in a better way so that we can take appropriate actions. We can understand our operational processes better. We can understand our security or safety scenario better when we tap into that information, if we gather information out of that video. We slowly replace the human eye dependency and make it artificial intelligence. But what we want this artificial intelligence to do is be able to recognize abnormal behaviors, anomalies, and specific scenarios that we want the system to recognize, and then give us real-time or near real-time alerts, which enable us to take action, immediate action on those events that get triggered. Like, for example, when an intrusion happens in the night, you would definitely want, right now what happens is probably the security guard will call somebody or go there to observe or see what, and then take action on it. But what if immediately a notification comes to the supervisor? You can also automate it to some extent, wherein you can have a hooter go off or an alarm getting signal that this is you are trespassing, get off from this zone. So there is a possibility to take immediate action as well as automate some of these actions. You can also have the possibility to record these events for further analysis, not only for evidence purposes, but also understand the trends, trend analysis. Like, for instance, in a manufacturing or a logistics scenario, when you have the forklifts moving and there is a possibility of collision with the shop floor worker on the shop floor, and there is a study that shows that for out of every 10 near miss incidents, like the forklift hitting a standing worker, out of 10 near miss incidents, there is a chance that one incident can occur, and that one collision can be fatal as well. So you can study the trend analysis in terms of how many near misses have happened during the past month, quarter, etc. Then give you a trend analysis. Where are the locations that these kind of incidents are happening more? So these operational intelligence is what AI can give you. And then your surveillance not only improves your safety or security, which is the base, which is a given even today, that's the base that we look for from a surveillance perspective, but we also want to have better risk management. Through this solution, we have a better risk management. You can, in a construction scenario, for example, you have workers working at heights, and you can ensure the system, the AI system, can detect if the worker is wearing a harness, a belt, wearing a safety equipment or not, then give you alerts immediately and take appropriate action. So you have a better risk management capability deploying a solution which is AI and computer vision based. You can ensure compliance to your processes, and that's very critical to ensure not only the safety and of the people, but you can also take, let's say, for example, in an industrial boiler scenario, you have boilers wherein an attendant is always expected to be there, is required to be there near the boiler. So you can ensure that compliance to those safety regulations or legal requirements through deploying solutions like this. In terms of quality, you can ensure inspecting the products on the assembly line, whether all the parts are there or not on the finished goods. It's possible to automate that through AI, through our solution, where you can control and monitor quality. You can also control and monitor the resource optimization also you can do. For example, in a retail scenario, you can choose to decide whether you want to open more checkout counters or whether you want more people on the floor helping your customers. So it's a decision that you can take in the real time, on the fly, to decide what makes more sense during a particular point of time, whether you want more people at the checkout counters or helping more customers there on the floor. So these are some of the things that that can be done through deploying an intelligent, artificial intelligent solution. And what enables this is a solution which has these as the pillars of the solution. So whatever solution we decide to implement, and that needs to have the capability to integrate existing equipments that we already have on the field. Because surveillance is not new, CCTV is not new. We have cameras all across already. There are more than billions of cameras that are deployed all across. And these cameras, we need the ability to tap into those existing cameras and connect and make them intelligent by deploying a smart solution. So that is the primary criteria that we work on, that we look for when we deploy a smart surveillance solution. So the ability to reuse existing cameras, whether it is IP cameras, even analog cameras, bring them into the same fold for centralized management, administration, and analytics. Use any type of networks that are available today. We are moving to 5G now. There are drones that are coming up, and we can have drone feed and analyze even the drone feed from the drone to ensure, for example, on a power line, whether everything is okay, if there are nuts and bolts missing, if the telecom tower is, you can monitor that remotely. There was recently an article, I think there was a news item wherein I think in Tamil Nadu it was about 600 telecom towers were stolen. Imagine the scenario, even the telecom tower getting stolen. So we can use even 4G, 5G technologies to bring in feed remotely and analyze that and take appropriate action. So the primary criteria for the solution is whether it can integrate with your existing systems, whether it can, you have expansion capable, addition of newer equipment, newer capable cameras, etc. But at the same time, you don't want to be left behind on your existing infrastructure. So the ability to integrate that is critical. And the solution the second point is that it should be highly scalable, irrespective of today, you may have a few handful of locations, but as you expand, whether the solution is capable of scaling your business as your business grows. That's a critical function. And whether it is flexible enough to tailor to your specific needs. That's also a very, very important aspect of the solution. So whether you have, for example, you deploy an NVR, you say, I need recording for 60 days. Let's take the simplest scenario. Now, this 60 days of storage is there for every camera that's connected to the NVR. Do we have the possibility to say, for some cameras, I need 180 days. For some cameras, I need only 7 days is good enough for me. I don't need more. So whether that flexibility is provided or not also is important, so that you can take the maximum benefit out of the solution that we are deploying. Whether a smaller organization like an MSME or a larger organization, you should have the possibility to pick and choose the kind of deployment model that you would like to implement. So whether you do a cloud model, so entire solution delivered from the cloud, which gives you the scalability automatically, because on the cloud, you have that enormous flexibility and scalability there. But at the same time, as you grow, you should have the flexibility for the solution to be deployed completely in your own data center on-prem, or as a hybrid model wherein the processing happens locally, but then you will have the flexibility to see from wherever you are securely. You can tap into that data through the cloud. So a hybrid model would help. Deployment models, flexibility, scalability is the second important pillar in the solution. And the third critical aspect is to be able to have centralized management with proper security controls, who has access to what in the system. whether somebody can see only the live view or recording, whether somebody can see the analytic information, the business intelligence. You don't want everybody to see the data of, let's say, the near misses. You don't need the shop floor workers or the security guy to see how many near misses happened. It is for the operations guy. So who needs to see what in the system is critical, and the system should have that flexibility. And security and privacy are very, very important and critical as we move to the cloud. For example, it needs to be end-to-end secure with zero trust on the capability. So that system should have this security as its core of the solution. And finally, the enabler for all of it that we are talking about has been the computer vision and AI. So without the AI, there is nothing that you can do. It becomes, again, the age-old model of legacy model. But with AI, even though there are analytics that are getting deployed, it need not be a rigid analytic, like I will check only if a person comes in, an intrusion. It should be able to tailor to your growing needs. We will talk about the scenario that I mentioned briefly earlier, wherein if there is a forklift on the logistics shop floor, and you have the forklift moving closer to a standing worker, you need an alarm, you need an alert. But then it should be able to customize to your requirement, wherein if you need to consider the speed at which that forklift is traveling also. So if the forklift is traveling at a greater speed, then the distance with the pedestrian should be more, or if the forklift is traveling at a lower speed, the distance can be even lesser. So the pedestrian can be even nearby. These kind of customizations are very critical to be able to optimize your processes, optimize your operations in a better way. So the system, the analytics solution that you are deploying should have that possibility to customize to your needs, because not everything fits everybody, and we need to have that ability to say what works for our individual requirement. And the final point is on the integration, because we have multiple systems deployed for our purposes. Business does not run on just one system. So we need the flexibility to be able to integrate and interoperate with all the other deployments that we have, all the other applications that we have. And the analytics data that's coming out, for example, can get into your business intelligence tool, whether you're using Tableau or any other business intelligence tool. Be able to analyze for the trend analysis, and be able to analyze further based on the data that comes out of the surveillance solution. So this becomes critical for your improvement of operations and in a continuous manner. These are the four pillars to make our solution convert our solution, or transform our solution from a cost center into making it as a strategic asset. This is what it takes to be able to build that kind of a solution in our organizations or environments. So with that, I'll probably conclude it and request Mr. Srinivas to take it forward. And if there is any question, we will get into. Thank you.
Before we move on to Srini, Vamshi, thank you very much. Very, very informative. What you're saying is the software that you have developed on the basis of Atmanirbhar Bharat is customized based on the client requirement, what exactly they need, and it is a tailor-made. So that's very great advantage. It is not that this is what I have, this is what you must use. What you're saying is we can understand your requirement and design a solution based on requirement. It could be a logistic, it could be asset management, it could be a people management, it could be a security, it could be a vehicular movement. Well, that's nice to hear, and I'm sure our audience will have a lot of questions to ask you. So I'm requesting all the participants here, they are from healthcare, they are from warehouses, they are from the oil and gas industry. You may be related to your industry. Please put that question, as they are the developer. They will also like to hear what exactly you are looking at as a video management system. So before I go to DP Srinivas, I would request Lakshmi to play the video of video management system.
Many businesses use surveillance cameras simply for recording in the event something goes wrong. But what if you could do more with your existing surveillance camera system? What if it could be used to track customer activity and employee productivity in the retail space, watch over properties by getting real-time alerts on security events, Give more comprehensive feedback on visitors to trade shows. Get information on vehicles speeding or going in wrong direction on streets or premises. Identify abnormal activities to maintain law and order. Allow loved ones to monitor residents in senior living centers. Visualize efficiency in distribution centers. That's where DURANC comes in. DURANC is a cloud-based artificial intelligence platform that works with any internet-connected camera and provides a wealth of insights you can act on. With low monthly fees, now is the time to try DURANC.
Yeah, over to Srini.
Thanks, Dominic. Thanks, Vamshi, for the entire flow of the solution and also the future that's shaping up in surveillance industry. I would like to address one question. I think it is Prajwal who has asked about can it be edge instead of cloud? That's a very important point, very valid point. Since we've been in this industry for quite some time, and we have seen no cloud to cloud, and now the transformation to native cloud 100%. The point of edge versus cloud, we are not averse to having edge-based analytics. We do have deployments. DURANC can be flexible in terms of its deployment to pure cloud or hybrid cloud, that is processing, like Vamshi said, on the ground analytics and then metadata into the cloud, and the storage can be in the cloud. Or it can be 100% local deployment, utilizing the edge analytics or the local analytics. The only point I would like to stress is when you say edge versus cloud, it is only the difference between either it is a motion based or it is AI based. When it comes to the AI based analytics, you need a very clear hardware that can do the processing of AI today. Edge analytics are okay to a certain extent, but if the footprint of the hardware is very low on the camera, you won't get the real efficient or high analytics to run there on the edge. So a lot of times we move that to a near edge. Near edge is like a server-based analytics that are locally deployed, connecting to a dozen or 100 cameras and then do the analytics locally. So edge is fine as long as you have a limited resource-based analytic that need to be run. Rest of it, you have to have cloud, because cloud is always bustable in terms of GPU hardware. AI is having a lot of dependency on the GPU hardware, which on the cloud, it is bustable. It can be expanded as much as required for the customer to require in terms of running number of analytics and all those things. See, DURANC can run multiple analytics on single camera. So for us, camera is a single feed that comes. We do analysis of the scenario of the video that comes through the camera, and that is actually taken into the cloud and processed. So just take a hypothetical example of you want to run 3 different analytics, and these 3 analytics are actually need to be reported to 3 different departments, right? But it is only one camera, and it is a low footprint camera. So what will happen is, what we are bringing is a single uni-stream into the cloud, and we apply all those 3 analytics on the single camera. And based on the anomaly detection or based on the violation, all these 3 is actually reporting to 3 different departments. Just take a hypothetical example of one camera on the street. There's flooding that needs to go to municipal department. There is opposite direction vehicle that needs to go to the police department, and another scenario need to go to another department. But it is the only one camera that is sitting there, but 3 different analyses are run at the AI level and the cloud. Then you have the opportunity of doing much more than what the edge can do. So we are not recommending, or we are not specifically saying no edge, but what we are saying is when you are slowly moving towards the AI, that's when you need more processing power to do high efficient analytics and less of false alarms. That elimination of the false alarms happens only in the cloud. because you have the opportunity of expanding your hardware. And the second point is, a lot of times when we say edge, the reason is said because we don't have the connectivity to the cloud and the bandwidth is limited. See, that was 2015, 16, 17, we were working on the cloud. That was a huge limitation. Today, there is direct fiber, there is 5G coming onto the field. So direct fiber and 5G, with the advent of these two things, probably it will be more prudent for the customer to have the full cloud with a lot of analytics running on the cloud and notifications going to multiple people. That scenario can work out well in the cloud. And like we said earlier, if we have 60 or 70 warehouses across the country, and each warehouse is having 100 cameras, local processing, you have a lot of hardware deployment, and dependency on the hardware will be there. But if the same thing is pushed to the cloud, you are eliminating a failure point, except for the fact of network connectivity. So that is what we actually work with our gateway, which actually increases the reliability to push to the cloud and make sure that the false alarms are mitigated and the human intervention is actually reduced to almost nil. So, Dominic, any other questions to take up, or?
Yeah, what we can do now is, I would ask the participants, other than we have 5 questions, if you want to speak to them, you can. There is a raise hand button there below on the screen. Just click that. And those who click on that, I would definitely invite them to you to speak to them directly. So I can invite you to on the screen to ask the question. So meanwhile, I'll just take up these questions now. We have Rajesh Arora, who is the face of electrical mission in Delhi. He's doing wonderful job. Okay, I'll start with Mr. Rajesh Arora. I'm allowing you to talk, sir, so I have invited you on this box. Rajesh is a fantastic learner and teacher based out of Delhi. I think you are in Delhi on Wednesday, Thursday. You must meet Rajesh, who's also electrical superintendent, if I know. Sir, over to you, sir. आप introduce करके आप बात करते हैं, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Anuj sir. Good morning to everyone. I am Rajesh from Delhi Transco Limited. First of all, I would like to say that was a mind-blowing session and an eye-opener also for the electrical industry. And the name you have given, DURANC, you converted the Hindi version to English. That DURANC is very, very fantastic, fabulous. And yes, we are approving very VMS systems for our upcoming projects in Delhi in our substation. But after this session, what I feel that is not up to the mark. I have to revise my specification. I have to do more for that video management system is concerned. I have to revise my specification. I have to incorporate whatever you have expressed here very soon without delay to make my system as up to the mark so that I can utilize the technology that is available in India. We are not using it. We are just keeping the record. We have to use artificial intelligence as well expressed. And I invite you to come to my office and we will sit together and we will talk to change our specification on that part. Thank you very much and wonderful session. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. It's a great opportunity, for Srinivas and Vamshi to come and meet you. And you are taking care of Delhi substations. I think what Vamshi said, even if there are certain bolts and nuts are missing on the tower, power line tower can be monitored. But that I'm sure they will come and interact with you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for encouraging, motivating us in all this session that we've been doing. Srinivas, you have anything to say to him?
Vamshi, you're sharing something? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So happily, presented this. Rajeshji, Dominic, this is one of the things that we've been telling, even why we have actually taken the tagline of do more with surveillance. because surveillance cameras are all pervasive. They are everywhere, and you can actually increase them because of the reduced cost of the camera hardware, and then increase the number of them. Now you can also mount them in the drone with the 5G. The drone footage can come continuous streaming in future. When that happens, right? Today we're actually doing monitoring of construction for the prevention of the theft or the safety purpose. And if you see the telecom towers and the power line towers, a lot of times the integrity of the tower is dependent on the missing bolts or sometimes rusted bolts. So this analysis was done by us, right around the time of Corona, because people were not moving around to do the inspections. So a lot of these things can be done with the surveillance cameras. The footage of the surveillance camera is like a gold mine. How actually you convert that into jewelry is what is important. So that data, what comes into our platform, can be done any kind of an extensive, customizable analytics in the future. A set standard of boxed analytics are there for us in surveillance, or some industrial safety and occupational safety. But what our platform gives an opportunity is, ours is an extensively open architecture, where there is any new requirement comes from the customer, like Rajesh said, like if he gives some kind of a thing in substation, we may have not done that before, but it is possible to create one more analytic and deliver it to them so that that particular requirement can be fulfilled. Because requirements are there many, but they are not boxed in terms of AI. AI need to do the machine learning, and then the annotation and all those things need to be done for the accuracy's sake. So once the requirement is given, we do customize for the sake of the customers, like whether logistics, whether automobile, we have done in the past. So if you see the list of analytics that we have, primarily they are based on surveillance, but what the turnkey analytics that we deliver to the customers are separate, and those analytics were delivered directly to the customers.
Thank you,
There
sir.
was Sorry, Dominic, I think there was also a question from one Mr. Prajwal, who was asking how is it that there is cost associated with the technology implementing AI? How can it be an asset? I would quickly just point by taking an example from a retail, for example. So an asset is something that you can derive value out of, as opposed to a cost wherein you do not derive any value. And that's where we differentiate from a cost to an asset. So the value that we get, for example, is to ensure whether your operational processes are being followed. One use case scenario that we have, even without AI, for example, we're looking at AI, right? Even without the AI, with centralized monitoring of all the retail locations, you have compliance to the process, compliance to the way the display items are set, whether all your retailers are actually following the same set of standards that you have, whether they're complying the way the store is designed to be, and the items are placed at their proper places. So what you wanted to promote should be close by to the cash counter, for example. So those kind of things are being monitored now, and your surveillance, which is just the CCTV, that's how it gets turned into an asset. And whether your employees are actually on time or not, whether they are going off. There was another use case scenario wherein on the store, there should be 4 people, all 4 people come in, check in, and then 2 of them stay, 2 of them go out. Are you able to control that with the solution? That's where it becomes an asset for you instead of just a cost. If you're able to control these scenarios, and you can know centrally from one location and a daily email, for example, of what was the store open close times for you across all your stores, and what is the footfall at each store. Once you get this kind of information, that's when it can turn into an asset for you.
I will request Dadaso Sargar I've invited you, sir. You can speak, you can unmute and speak to the speakers. Dadaso Sargar, can you hear me? Okay. I will move on to Prajwal Kant. I think he answered a question. However, if you have something, probably Prajwal can come, unmute yourself and speak to them.
Hi everyone. I'm Prajwal.
Can you be
I'm
louder?
working with,
It's not audible.
yeah, now is it audible?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, so actually I'm working in Verizon as a security specialist on the part of access control and video surveillance. So I'm taking care of Asia Pac and Latin America and as well as India. So my question is like, we have discussed about the edge detection, right? So I have a problem statement here in the current scenario of working from home. People are connecting to high confidential data from home. So it's difficult to stream all the cameras of all the users of 10,000 users, for example, to a cloud. So it will consume the bandwidth of all the employees. Like their mobile data, someone is trying to connect from the mobile, someone will be on Wi-Fi. So it will consume lot of bandwidth of their employee, right? So how we can give a solution kind of this problem statement?
So, Mr. Prajwal, if I understand the question is it the people monitoring that you are looking at from these 10,000 locations?
Yes. So those people are connecting to high confidential data, right? So we need to monitor their activities, like whether they're recording with a digital camera or mobile phone, or someone is peeping onto the screens, or they're sharing with some other competitor companies. These kind of monitoring we want to do. So how this you can give the solution for this?
So I'll ask Vamshi to extend this what I'm saying now. We have already designed a solution within our product for one of the customer on a specific use case in the Corona time. We call it as DURANC track, where the customer employees are in distant locations working from home, and we have a way of actually monitoring them through the webcam of the laptop itself, and that's been very positively accepted by many of our customers. We can actually give you a demo and a demo license for you to try it out. The second thing is not just this DURANC track. Vamshi will explain what the flow of it is. But the other one is like if you have an external camera that is actually connected to the the local home network. For us, it is a very low footprint data transfer that is required, like the upload speeds. All that you need is you don't need to even go for a high-end IP camera. So low-end IP camera is also good enough for us to take that into the cloud and do the analysis. So those things we can actually work it out. Whether it is 2,000 locations or 5,000 locations doesn't matter to us. We can take that into the cloud and do the analysis and give it to you. Vamshi, can you explain a little bit about the DURANC track?
Yeah, just to go briefly, Prajwalji, we will take it up offline. I will connect with you and then discuss more in detail of your requirement, because your requirement has multiple aspects to it. But as Mr. Srinivas said, the first aspect of the security in terms of whether it is the authorized user that is sitting in front of the system, or there is somebody else peeping through or watching. So that is something that immediately can be addressed by what we explained through DURANC track with the existing webcam. We can take a snapshot at frequent intervals, which you can define. You can configure at what intervals and ensure whether it is the authorized user sitting in front or not. That's something that can be immediately implemented. And then we will look at your other requirements and come back. So I will connect with you offline on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Prajwal. I will share your details to both Srini and Vamshi, and they will be interacting with you. We have next. We have Satish Vanavalli wants to speak to you, and let's hear what his question is. So over to Satish.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon, speakers. It was in fact indeed a wonderful session. I'm into supply chain, okay, and you guys are kind of like doing something on the warehouse management and tracking and kind of stuff. So my question is specifically your product is kind of like overlaps with the intrusion of privacy, right? You are trying to do something about monitoring where things should not be monitored versus can be monitored. How are you going to kind of like apply AI on this and basically like reducing the false alarms and kind of stuff, right? So I would like to understand more on those things. If you could throw some light on that, would be really helpful. Thank you.
So let me take up some portion of the question, and Mr. Srinivas can add on top of it. One is you have two aspects to that question. One is in terms of how do we address the privacy concerns, right? So the privacy concerns is once in the work floor, there are aspects that you can monitor. There are aspects that you cannot monitor. It's a generally accepted practice that you don't place cameras on, let's say, for example, on the washrooms, etc. But it's allowed on the floor, on the shop floor. Right? It is there is no invasion of privacy. But wherever what maybe you cannot track what keyboards he's pressing, what keys he's pressing, that comes into a different aspect of it. Let's not get there. But from a visual analysis perspective, if somebody is able to watch, it's the same that the camera is doing. If I'm in the shop floor and somebody else is in the shop floor, he's seeing me, I'm seeing him, it's the same way the camera is seeing me. I don't see a privacy concern there per se. But we can discuss more. I'll probably connect with you offline in terms of the specific concerns if you may have on the privacy. But we have a lot of built-in mechanisms in our solution wherein there is a privacy mode enabled in our platform. And if the privacy mode is enabled, the view would get blurred. The security guys will not be able to watch it. For example, in a highly sensitive pharma industry, for example, where you don't want these images to go out even to the security guard. It may be highly confidential information. In that scenario, you can actually enable privacy mode and the view would get blurred, but the analytics will keep on happening at the back end. That's how the solution is built. Let me try to see if I can share this particular image with you. So this is another example of the privacy mode. As you can see on the left bottom, the view would get blurred like this. And this is something that we are streaming from an ambulance. Actually, this specific use case was a camera that's inside the ambulance, which streams to the doctor who can actually address or take immediate steps to recover the patient, to treat the patient while he's getting transported. This view can get blurred for other people, but only for the respective people, it would be a probable or a correct view. So that addresses your privacy concern a little bit. The second portion was how you can use AI, I guess, right? If I may, if I got it right.
That's right, Vamsi.
Yeah. So in terms of AI, again, the possibilities are endless, but there is a danger that when you have a hammer, as they say, right, everything looks like a nail. So AI cannot do everything for us, but it can do many things way better than a human can do. So while it cannot replace, obviously, a human, but there are a lot of things that it can do better than human. So we need to see what makes sense to automate and what makes sense to use AI for. And that's where the importance of understanding the use case scenario and then applying the right solution for that becomes very, very important.
So, Satish, one of the use case that we have in one of the logistics company, they have about 70 warehouses across the country and about 1,000 cameras. The first step they wanted was integrating all these cameras into one command control for the audit purpose, centralized auditing. That's achieved within no time for us. And now slowly what they're doing is they're expanding into how to do some of the AI analytics on a specific kind of a use case scenarios. And that follows, and we work with that customer, continuously on a continuous basis to achieve what actually they are trying to achieve in terms of process improvements. And that's primarily the process improvements is what they wanted to do in the AI, not the surveillance side of it. So, security features and security and surveillance will be on one part, and the process improvements and then process related, audit related things are the other part. And both are actually happening with the same camera feed.
Thank you, Srinivas. Thank you.
Dominic, you are on mute.
Thank you, Srini. Satish, I will share the contact and offline you can continue the discussion and very specific to your needs. So thank you, Satish, for joining. And I'll go with Rahul Anand. I'll just, okay, Rahul Anand. Before I take the question from the question answer box, last person to go live is, I think, Ravi Kumar also joined in. Once again, I request those who want to talk, you can raise your hand. I will allow them to talk. So we have another 20 minutes to go. So Rahul, please go ahead, unmute.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, I am from a construction company. We are constructing a tunnel where we need to have a traffic management control system. Majority of which is controlled via CCTV only, where we need so many analytics like ghost driver, object on the way, or a fire alarm, or too much of smoke, etc. So if you have some case study, you please share with us, or offline also I will contact you directly. Another thing is that if you have some ready-made solution or a module which you have already developed, you please give us some information on that.
Absolutely. We have a lot of use cases in the construction industry, including we have mounted cameras on the cranes from 80 meters above to stream and do the analytics on top of it on a 4G connection to mounting the cameras on vehicles that actually transport the material in and out of the construction area. So those kind of things are there, Rahulji. We'll touch base with you to give, and the only thing is that we need to understand, like Vamshi was saying, that AI is good to have tool, but there are some limitations. So we need to work between those lines in terms of the requirement versus what is practical in terms of to do. Like I'll give you an example. Rahul may not be your industry, but one of the pharma company has requested us. They have a zero dust clean room. They have an exhaust system there. It runs 24/7, but it doesn't need to run 24/7 because if a human being is inside, that's only the time that it needs to run. So the challenge that they have given is if a human comes into the field of that room, then you activate our exhaust fan, and when he leaves, and you shut it off. That's what we have done. So that we need to have collaboration in terms of your requirement and then time given, and then we deliver the solution. We'll work with you on that because it's a tunnel. I think it's a controlled environment, and in the controlled environment, there could be some occlusions, there could be some lighting issues, but we still try to figure out what best can be done in that scenario and deliver the solution to you.
Thank you, sir. We will contact you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Srini. Thank you. So we'll go to the few questions. I have only 3 questions here. Jayesh is asking how to check CCTV camera health. Will the VMS help to check the health of the camera?
That's wonderful. I was waiting for that question, and if nobody asked, I wanted to address it in the last. But that's one of the major concerns of any surveillance installation or implementation. The reason why we call them orphan cameras is, unfortunately, they don't have anybody addressing their problems. The cameras are feeling shy of telling that we are down, but we cannot tell you. So our platform is inbuilt with health management and health notification of the cameras, whether it's the field of view change or whether it's a down camera. We already have the system built in. When you connect one of the cameras or any number of cameras, automatically each camera is monitored with the health, and the notification is pre-built. And this is not, you don't need to buy any analytic license or anything for this purpose. By default, any camera is connected to the system, automatically gets the health monitoring. Vamshi, you want to add?
Jayesh, Jayesh also got 2 questions. How system can be updated based on the past repetitive incidents? Okay, so Vamshi, go ahead, Vamshi.
Yeah, let me just share this also a little bit. I think this is the health on the bottom left that you can see how many cameras are online, offline, whether they're recording or not. That's just to showcase from the previous question. And to answer this specific question in terms of how the system can update, as AI learns from the past events that have triggered, you can adjust or fine-tune certain parameters which define what is your anomaly like, for example. So you have a threshold that you can set, which is called the confidence thresholds. So these thresholds can be adjusted as we move along. Let's say you see false alarms in AI, but if still sometimes there is a false alarm, the system automatically learns from that. And if you point it as a false alarm, it automatically learns from it, and then it adjusts and optimizes the detection and the thresholds. So it's easy depending on even environment, not only the past incidents, but also the type of environment that we are in, based on the lighting conditions. It could be based on the type of the camera view, for example. So the system, you can adjust or you can configure the parameters and the thresholds, which will detect an anomaly or which will report an anomaly. So these confidence thresholds and help you adjust to your varying conditions across various locations.
Thank you, Vamshi, for clarification. And we do not have much questions. Lakshmi has been posting the email ID of Vamshi and Srini. I'm sure people have noted down, and you can continue to interact with them. And we will, the entire recording of this session will be on YouTube and will be shared to all the people who are registered. And further to that, we will have our next session specifically on the healthcare and asset and people management on 29th of September. So I'm sure many hospitals in this country need the VMS in different shapes and different requirements. So we will try and address that on 29th. And it's so nice, so wonderful to hear both Vamshi and Srini with so much of patience. And you can see through their eyes, true Atmanirbhar, patriotic gentleman who returned from US and wants to do something for this country. Yes, I would say your effort and your passion will definitely make, one of the top VMS company in India. I'm happy that many more product like, whether it's the camera, whether it is surveillance or the fire or the safety, a lot more things are happening. Earlier, we used to depend on the third party and foreign companies. Today, India is able to export these solutions. I'm sure people who are there from the Middle East in this participant also will understand. There are great opportunity, and the software that they have been developed, it is customer specific, and I'm sure DURANC will continue to meet every customer expectation. And I would like to end here 12:06. It is exactly 1 hour and very short webinar. And we look forward to see you, and we'll interact with all the participant one-on-one. All of you have a great evening, great day, great weekend with your family. Stay safe, and we come back to you soon. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic, for the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone.